influenced me to pursue that is the interest in electronic media. And one of the phenomenons that's occurred is that with all these different people using the same tools, that people are starting to share across their different strategies or tropes, and these fields are influencing each other. So nothing is strictly in its defined domain, like a traditional art, like painting might be. So, and the thing that interests me the most is that everyone using these electronic communications is changing the way we understand the world, the way our perceptions, the way we convey information, receive information. And as an artist, I'm interested in working in that area. How are people perceptions changing, and how does the art change to keep up with that? The media installation, first off, an art installation generally takes over an entire gallery, and it creates an environment, an experience. So versus a painting where you might be looking at an object in front of it, you're immersed in the work. So that's what defines, say, an installation. So with the media installations, I have a lot of video, audio, computer-controlled things, interactivity. And Spectacular Justice was the project I did as a RENCI Fellow a couple years ago. And that was the first project I'd worked long-term with some really creative technologists. And the unique thing about that project was that it took the group interaction. So instead of my work that I did on my own, it was pretty simplistic interactivity that I could do. It tracked every viewer in the room and took the collective action to determine what was going to happen next. So it had an arc in it. So what the group did over time influenced the piece. And that was the innovative part of that project. First, to give you a little background about my position as the domain scientist, my job is to facilitate collaborations between RENCI technologists and faculty at the 3 campuses, Carolina State and Duke. So on the UNC's campus, I've been working with the Institute for Arts and Humanities to facilitate some projects on that campus through them. So what we are doing is having this chat festival, and that's collaborations, humanities, art, and technology. And that's going to be the showcase for different digital projects, including several projects that I facilitated through RENCI, and those will be at ITS Manning. So we have a project that's a digital mapping project that uses search and an innovative interface in public spaces for humanities archives. We have an augmented reality game that's being done at North Carolina State, a simulation of the North Carolina State campus, and some smaller things, but those are the main projects that are collaborative and have working groups that have been meeting over the time. And RENCI is providing a lot of collaborators and help on those projects. I always thought the role of art is to take something to work outside maybe the commercial applications of visual media, where the viewer gets an alternative view. That if you can give them a moment where someone will think about something differently or see something differently, that's a successful work. So it's never a specific point. It's more create a moment that's an alternative to everyday life, but not separate from everyday life, but just an alternative view. And if the viewer pauses and thinks for a moment, that's success. I think one of the things that we've seen in the last 5 to 10 years, and Bill Siemens is a good example of this, is that I think the way people work with technology and the social media and all these things, that they're used to creating things themselves. So the artist, a lot of art now works that way. So it's generative, meaning that it's not predetermined. The viewer gets to kind of piece it together, either by interacting with it, creates different paths or different experiences. A lot of 3D. I think there's going to be more 3D work, but I think it's mostly, at least let me say, from my interest, it's where the artist does not determine the work completely, that it's left for the viewer to interact with, and like a video game does, where there's certain goals, there's certain things that happen, but the viewer does have a say. Their actions affect what happens in the game. The viewer's actions will have some impact on the end product of the artwork, or the end experience, say.